Hello, hello. Today we are talking about our sales operations service levels and how much good is actually effective. This is the Sales Ops Effect, where we strengthen our skills as strategic leaders to grow businesses with integrity. So a sales operations coordinator that I was talking to said that there were quite a lot of really good changes coming in her company, and she had to adapt some processes and parts of the technology, creating new fields, etc., etc. And so she thought, quite rightly, that it was going to be a very, very big deal because there were so many things that needed to change to align to the new offerings that were being created. And so she was starting to get overwhelmed, even though she was really excited to do the work because she could tell that the journey that they were all about to go on was going to be worth it. And what I explained to her is that it's so very easy to get caught up in the, this is really exciting and you want to do everything to support, to contribute to this goal, which looks great because, we're not salespeople. We don't bring in the money. We don't even talk to the clients. So when you get a hold of something really juicy like that, which you know for a fact that the things that you're doing directly support something, you get a lot of energy from that, right? But with that energy can sometimes come that level of not really thinking clearly, not really thinking like a project and program manager. And sometimes you have to go for your minimum viable product, or in our case, sometimes services. And one of the things specifically that she was thinking about is that they were creating these new packages and how they would put those in the system. Because at the moment, there were packages that didn't really exist inside the system. People had to select individual products, and most of them were the same every single time, but there were no set rules to say this package equals this thing. And the reason for that is because there had been so many changes in the past. That's important to hold on to, right? So now that the packages were becoming clearer, it would be easier at this point. The thought would be it'd be easier at this point to now just completely align those things inside of the system. It would involve a lot of tech work, but completely possible and understandable. But it would take quite a long time because all of these things would need to be tested, whereas the packages are live right now. So they still have the products inside of those packages that were available in the system, but they didn't look like packages. And I hope that makes sense because sometimes it's a bit confusing. So she wanted to go through this whole thing of making it really clear to say this package, you can only select certain products within it, which makes sense. But what I urged her to do, because I'm aligning to my project management principles of time, cost, quality, and let's add the extra one there of remembering your history, is not to make those full deep changes, because they would have been deep changes to the whole system, and to make them at the higher level. So they'll have a drop down on the opportunity itself that says what package that it is. And within the products, when you're selecting them, there's little notes there that you can put on to say this is available in such and such and such, and you can make that really, really clear. And I told her to opt for doing it that way instead of making the deep changes in the system. Why? Because A&1, she didn't have time to do the changes needed to the quality that it would need to be done for it to work out well. Because when things like that break down, then the sales team throw everything up in the air, some sales teams, and cause a problem. And I couldn't do these things because of you, and it was you. You don't want that. So we looked at time, cost, quality. There's no money in there for her to go to a tech consultant, so she'd be doing it herself. She doesn't have the time to do it to the quality that was needed. And also, historically, things have been changing so much. There's a reason why the products were listed individually like that, because it gave the salespeople the freedom, no matter what was being decided with whatever leadership team, to just select the things that they needed. And the product list wasn't hundreds of pages long. It was roughly 50. So it's a reasonable thing to deal with, particularly when the people who do specific things are selecting the same things every single time. And sometimes making that decision to do less can be quite difficult because you want to give everything and make it so squeaky clean. But you can go really far down in one direction just for another change to be said, actually, no, we won't have that product anymore. And you could have spent one whole week just on sorting out this one thing that is just not needed anymore. And you have no idea, you can't know that at the beginning because you're not clairvoyant. And so what I advise with a company that is changing a lot, as do many small and medium-sized enterprises do, is that sometimes you have to deliver to an effectiveness level, because it's not just about what works for them, it's about what you can handle. Most of us are only working in SMEs on our own or with maybe one or two other people. So if you try to take on a project that is bigger than your resources, you will suffer for it. You will suffer for it. Even if the project is absolutely amazing and everybody is cheering your name, you will be burnt out afterwards. But you can deliver to something that is effective enough that the team can get started doing whatever it is that they need to do, and you have enough information in the back end to make sure you do your reporting, because that's very, very important. Reporting is something you want to be thinking about all the time. Is it effective? Can I report on it? It's like the platinum standard, the gold standard, the silver standard, the bronze standard. And if you do not have time or money to make it, to get it to the quality, because the vast majority of us are always going to want that 100% quality, right? So if you don't have the time, you don't have the money or the resources, then you're going to be wanting to opt for bronze and silver. And it's not to say that you opt for bronze or silver and you just hope that nobody realizes that this could have been done better. Depending on who you're dealing with, it's very good to say, this is where we could go, but due to the fact that this needs to be done fast and all of these other things need to be done at the same time, we are going to have to get to this level. And that works for these reasons. And if this deeper level is needed, then I'm going to need a lot more resources. So sometimes you can say it like that. Sometimes you don't have to outright say it, but you have the explanation ready should anybody ask. As a minimum, you have it ready just in case anybody asks. But it really does depend on the people who you're dealing with, how people communicate, how much information that they can take in, because some people can't think very, very far away or think in the abstract. Some people can only look at what's right in front of them, and that's neither a good or a bad thing. You just have to know the person that you're talking to at the time, or the people that you're talking to at the time, whether you tell them this information in advance or whether telling them that information would actually cause you more problems. Because you know that you've made decisions for the right reasons, but you really do have to pick and choose when you're going to communicate certain things to certain people. Is it advantageous for everybody if I share this information, or would it actually just cause problems? So you don't need to reveal inside working unnecessarily if it doesn't help things to progress. So I hope that has helped anybody who was thinking that they're a bit overwhelmed and they've got a lot of stuff to do. There's so many things that you can look at and think, this is a need to have, this is a need to have. And it's not, it's actually a nice to have to them, but you think it's a need to have because you can see the whole picture. And you know that would make it easier for other things to happen. But if it's not necessary to them right now and you are losing sleep over it, let it go. Let it go. You do not have to be all things to all people. And also, I would like to ask you to join me on the webinar that I'm hosting this week about planning quarterly sales meetings, because again, you don't have to do absolutely everything, and there are a lot of people you'll find that do actually want to be a part of those things, and the direction and how to plan things and how to facilitate it, particularly if you've never planned an event before, and where your boundaries are with how you're helping people. So we're going to be talking about how to plan the Q2 sales meeting on the 14th of March. And I'm really looking forward to seeing you all there. Please look in the show notes. There'll be a link there. See you then.